Trump says he won't run again. Eric Adams' administration is in shambles, and a dock strike could cripple the economy. That and more on this week's America Uncovered headlines. Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. Donald Trump says if he isn't elected president in 2024, he won't run again in 2028.
If you're not successful this time, do you see yourself running again in 4 years?
No, I don't. No, I don't. I think that will be it. I don't see that at all.
Wow. So this is it. If he doesn't win, 2028 will be the first presidential election without Donald Trump since 2016, is what I would be saying if Trump wasn't a businessman down to his DNA. How do we know this isn't like one of those mattress store going out of business sales, where they create a sense of urgency by saying they'll be gone soon, causing people to support them. Then 4 years later, they're still around saying, due to overwhelming demand, we're still in business, at least until the next going out of business sale. But if he keeps his word, that means in 2028, Republicans will have a fresh, new, hopefully younger candidate that the Democrats will say is the biggest existential threat to America ever, and this election is the most important in history. Now, we know we say that every election, and even said that about the human blueberry scone Mitt Romney, but this time we mean it. Please, please, please don't vote third party. Speaking of Donald Trump, Kamala Harris is pushing Donald Trump to debate again, this time hosted by CNN on October 23rd. However, Trump has so far declined this offer, saying it's too late for a debate, since early voting has already begun. Also, after that essentially 3-on-1 matchup that was the ABC debate, where they fact-checked Trump on his false claims but not Harris, it makes sense Trump wouldn't be too optimistic about fair treatment from CNN. Historically, their journalists pair his name with Hitler's more often than a chef for 3-year-olds pair peanut butter with jelly. Of course, CNN higher-ups were still happy to host a town hall for him last year, because sure, he's Hitler, but think of the ratings. I'm pretty sure CNN would air a talk show hosted by the ghost of Jack the Ripper if they thought it'd score in the 18 to 35 demographic. Trump ducking this debate is a reversal, since just a month ago, he was the one pushing Harris for more debates. And Harris rejected his offer to debate on Fox, which also makes sense since Fox would be about as fair and balanced towards her as Israel is towards Hezbollah in Lebanon. Honestly, at this point, with how much of a disaster all the debates have been, Trump should openly brag about turning it down as a selling point to elect him president. Because not subjecting the U.S. to another reminder that these were somehow America's best options throughout 2024 is the best way to immediately make America great again. Still, speaking of Trump, because we haven't been able to stop talking about him for even a fleeting blissful moment since 2015, according to prosecutors, the man suspected of attempting a second assassination attempt against Trump, Ryan Ruth, left a letter detailing his plans, and the Department of Justice has released this manifesto. In the letter, it says, "This was an assassination attempt on Donald Trump, but I'm so sorry I failed you," and offers $150,000 to whoever can assassinate Trump should Ruth fail in his attempt. Though I'm not sure where that money would come from, since Ruth says he has 0 funds in his savings and has no assets aside from 2 trucks in Hawaii. Do murderers take IOUs? I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for an assassination today. Many have pointed out how strange it is that the DOJ would release this manifesto while other manifestos, such as the Covenant Catholic School shooters, weren't. There's still a battle over releasing the Covenant Shooters Manifesto to the public, with a Nashville judge recently ruling that it won't be, as the copyright to it now belongs to the shooter's victims' family members. Wait, if you're murdered, you get copyrights to your murderer's intellectual property? Never thought I'd say this, but I hope I get murdered by James Cameron. Then my ghost can live it up large in the afterlife with all that sweet Titanic and Avatar money. Heaven just got heavenier. Interestingly, after the letter was released, the DOJ denied Ruth bail, and prosecutors are now working on adding a new charge against him of attempted assassination, in addition to the federal firearms charges already outstanding. So they have their reasons for releasing the letter, but it still seems odd to release a $150,000 bounty on Trump's head. The former president may now have to watch out for assassins gunning for him like in John Wick 3. It's a good thing Trump is being protected by the Secret Service. It's not like these totally competent experts would ever let any threat get near him a third time. And after the break, the upcoming dock strikes. Welcome back. Dock workers at East and Gulf Coast ports are likely to strike starting October 1st over disputes regarding pay raises and rules around automation. According to a JP Morgan analysis, this strike could cost the economy $5 billion a day. If it lasts more than a few days, we could see product shortages and higher prices as bad as they were during the COVID-era supply chain crisis. Fortunately, we don't have to worry about that because President Biden could just invoke the 1947 Taft-Hartley Act, which gives him the power to prevent a strike or stop it once it starts in order to save the economy. And Biden has vowed to take a hands-off approach and not invoke it, because saving the economy takes a back seat to election year politics. Because it makes sense why he wouldn't want to use the Taft-Hartley Act, as it's politically toxic, especially for Joe Biden, who claims to be the most pro-union president ever. Really, though, this puts him in a no-win situation. Either he busts the strike, just like he did with the rail workers, even further tarnishing his legacy as Union Joe, or he sides with the union workers and the economy tanks just weeks before the presidential election, harming the chances of the DNC's appointed presidential pick, Kamala Harris. And he wouldn't want to do that. That would be a devastating blow to the DNC. And what possible reason could Joe Biden have for wanting to do something that would harm the DNC after they've been so kind to him? He's just doing this for the unions. Right, Joe? Joe? According to FBI statistics, violent crime in the U.S. dropped in 2023. Overall, violent crime dropped 3%, while murders and non-negligent manslaughter dropped almost 12%. This is the largest drop in murder in 20 years. Well, that's one benefit of inflation. No one can afford knives or guns. That's obviously a joke. A lot of criminals aren't buying their weapons, they're borrowing them permanently. While this is a major drop, it comes only a few years after homicides spiked 30% in 2020, the largest ever one-year jump, which is shocking. I mean, who would have thought that being forced to lose your livelihood and stay indoors all day, engaging in drugs and alcohol to cope while feeling like the world's about to end, would make people want to become violent? Speaking of things that make people angry, corruption. Though at this point so commonplace, I'm no longer angry, just disappointed. New York City Mayor Eric Adams has been indicted on 5 federal public corruption charges, including bribery and wire fraud. This appears to be the piece de resistance in a major corruption crackdown in New York that's unraveled Adams' administration so badly that even left-leaning media outlets like MSNBC are calling his political career a walking tragedy. Nothing new there. As part of the crackdown, a number of other high-level New York officials have had their homes raided by federal authorities, including a top fundraiser for Adams. Interim NYPD Commissioner Thomas Donlan. New York Post sources say authorities are investigating if Donlan took documents while he worked with the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security 20 years ago. And NYPD's former commissioner, Edward Caban, who resigned after having his house raided by the FBI as part of a corruption probe. Widespread corruption among the police in a big, gritty city? Obviously, there's only one way to stop this. We need a real-life Batman. I'd say someone should take out the parents of a young billionaire to get that ball rolling, but with Ryan Ruth's bounty out there, at least one billionaire is already in enough danger without me giving people any more ideas or incentives. And let's face it, Barron would be a terrifying Dark Knight. Caban was reportedly being probed for corruption involving New York's nightclubs.
CBS New York sources report the feds are probing possible corruption in the city's nightclub enforcement. They've also seized the phone of Commissioner Caban's twin brother, James Caban, who owns a nightclub security business. Their focus, whether James Caban worked as a fixer for nightclubs and restaurants to skirt city regulations with special treatment by NYPD cops.
Corruption in New York City nightclubs? That makes perfect sense. What other explanation is there why I'm not allowed to skip the lines at the hottest spots in the city? It's not because I'm too old or too unhip. It's because I expose corruption and these clubs are lousy with it. At this point, everyone in Adams' inner circle might as well add a revolving door to their homes to make it easier for all the feds coming in and out of them. But the real question isn't whether or not Adams is corrupt or if he'll be convicted. It's, will voters really care? If disgraced former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo's COVID policies killing thousands of grandparents is any gauge, probably not. He only got ousted after being accused of sexual harassment, because that's apparently the line for New York Democrats. So they won't care if Adams took bribes, so long as he didn't take them and say, "Thanks, toots." Speaking of divisive Democratic governors that give a lot of people the ick, Gavin Newsom. Governor Gavin Newsom signed a bill making it illegal to knowingly distribute an ad or other election communications that contain materially deceptive content, including deepfakes in California. This fulfills a promise Newsom made a few weeks ago after Elon Musk retweeted a video using AI to mock Kamala Harris.
Joe taught me rule number 1, carefully hide your total incompetence.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious that's fake, since Harris would never be that forthcoming and concise. While trying to be honest with the public and not erode their trust is important, this bill presents some serious issues. The video Musk shared was clearly a parody, which is protected by the First Amendment. So the next time someone says they don't like Weird Al Yankovic changing the lyrics to songs, you ask them, why do you hate the Constitution? Newsom's deepfake election laws are already being challenged in federal court over the issue. Another issue that needs to be addressed is the fact that an X account run by Kamala Harris's campaign has been found to repeatedly deceive with misleading edits and captions to attack Donald Trump. So does that mean Harris's ads and posts will be banned in California? And will this law apply only to campaign ads using AI, or will it ban all campaign ads featuring some kind of lie? Because if that's the case, every election commercial in California will just be, "Hi, I'm a candidate, and I'm running for elected office, and I approve this message." Actually, that sounds delightful. I think I support this bill, as long as no Weird Owls were harmed in the making of it. This has been another fine addition to the growing collection of stories in my new favorite segment, Really California, Really? Playing so fast and loose with the Constitution, it's like California's being run like a mattress store. Feels like it's going out of business, but you just know it still will be there 4 years from now. Speaking of things that will still be here in 4 years, America Uncovered. And you can help by watching this video we know you're going to love. In my ongoing attempt to hide controversial topics in gaming content, today I'm talking about the normalization of deviance in Star Wars Outlaws. And America Uncovered wouldn't exist without your support. Click that orange button to support us on Patreon. All it takes is $1 an episode, and you can set a monthly limit. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.